Hello students, today we are going to write a story based on the pictures below. You may use the words given to help you. Based on the pictures, we can see the first one, there is a bus in the pictures. They organize a trip to the Royal Museum. The second one is the students as arrived the Royal Museum. And the third one, the students are spend their times in the palace and they are impressed with the decorative things in the Royal Museum inside. So today we are going to get a try to write about the visits to the Royal Museum. We will put into 3 paragraphs. First of all, we need to decide that based on the question, we need to use past tense or present tense. Okay, so we can look at here, it says organize. It means that these stories you're going to write into the past tense verb. Okay, let's start. So you can write down the questions. You can write down visits to the Royal Museum. Okay, this will be our title, a visit to the Royal Museum. Let's look at the first picture. August, history teachers organize trips, Royal Museum, officials, king, bus. August, so we can get sentences August, what August? Maybe we can write last August. So we can write down last August. Okay, we already decide the time is last August, which is the past tense verb here. We need to write history teacher. Who history teacher? Who's? Then you can write our history teacher. You can write down our history teacher. Our history teacher can put a name, maybe Mr. John. Our history teacher, Mr. John, what is he do? Organize. Organize. Organize what? Organize a trip to the Royal Museum. So we can write down organize. Organize a trip to the Royal Museum. So we already used the word trips. Then the next one, Royal Museum. So to the Royal Museum. So we can write down where is the Royal Museum. Maybe it's located in Kuala Lumpur. We can more elaborate the sentences. We can write down located in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, we already write until here. So the next word is official. We can write down what is the official. This is the palace. Palace means that this is the official residence for the kings of Malaysia. Okay, so this is the residence, official residence of the king. So we can write down another sentences. It was once the official's residence of the King of Malaysia. Okay, next words, bus. So we can elaborate more how many students go there, and then you can elaborate how we go, maybe by bus. So we can write down there were maybe 20 students who joined the trips. and we went there by bus. Okay, so we already complete our first picture. Okay, so we write down last August, our history teacher organized a trip to the Royal Museum located in Kuala Lumpur. It was once the official residence of the Kings of Malaysia. There were 20 students who joined the trips and we went there by bus. Okay, the next picture. This is a maze. Okay, this thing is a maze. The palace is very big, so we can write down at the entrance. We see that the entrance. So we can see that here got a very unique architecture. So this is the architectures of the palace. Okay, so we can write down at the entrance. At the entrance. We were amazed. Can write down the feelings of when you saw the things which is such wonderful, such unique thing. You can use amazed. We were amazed to see unique architecture of the palace. Okay, then so the architecture we can see that is more for the Europe style, especially the things. Maybe you can write down more here. So we can write down the 2 floor. Okay, we can write down more how the design is, how the exterior means. You can write down here to elaborate for your story. So the next sentence we can write down the 2 floor palace was, you can praise that the things is very well designed. You can write down the design is very good, means that you can write down well designed, was well designed with the European style, especially its exterior. Can mention that it's very nice, very well decorated, very well for the architectures. So you can write down more for your essay or story. So for its exterior. Okay, next words will be, okay, this is the first entering capture shot. So you can mention that this was the first time for the students or for us, because this our ma. So we can write down this, it was the first time for us entering the palace. Can write down more. Can write down it was the first time for us entering a palace. Okay, what would you do when you go to the such beautiful, unique things? So like the picture mentioned here, they give a shot, take the picture. So we can mention that we capture some beautiful. You can write down beautiful pictures. Also, instead of picture, you can write down beautiful shots of the palace. Okay, next one, our third paragraph, which is spend, palace, saw, throne room, decorative, impress. Okay, so next one we can write down, we spend how many hours, the durations of your visit. Maybe you spend about 3 hours to touring the palace. Okay, so we can write down the next paragraph. We spend about 3 hours touring the palace. Okay, in the palace, anything will be visited. So maybe in the palace, we will waiting room, throne room, which is the king of the rooms, and also some bedroom. So we write down we saw waiting rooms, throne room, and bedroom. Okay, next word. Okay, here got decorative and also the impress. So we can mention decorative. How to describe decorative? Maybe we can connect with items. So maybe our decorative items usually is on the display. So we can write down we were impressed with our heritage because the things is under the royal. So it may mention we were impressed with this decorative item. Okay, last two sentences we can write down there were also some decorative items on display. We were, okay, you can write down an adverb, you can write down absolutely, totally, maybe you write down totally. If you want to use the adverb, you just write impress, also the good words. You can write down impress with our royal heritage. Okay, so this is the short and simple story for us to learn how to write a visit to the Royal Museum. You can put a stop here and then copy these stories in your books. Last August, our history teachers, Mr. Jones, organized a trip to the Royal Museum located in Kuala Lumpur. It was once the official residence of the Kings of Malaysia. There were 20 students who joined the trips and we went there by bus. At the entrance, we were amazed to see unique architectures of the palace. The two-floor palace was well designed with the European style, especially its exterior. It was the first time for us entering a palace. We captured some beautiful shots of the palace. Excuse me, palace note for and palace. Okay. We spent about 3 hours touring the palace. We saw waiting rooms, throne rooms, and bedrooms. There were also some decorative items on display. We were impressed in our royal heritage. So that's all for the English version. Now I will explain again with the Chinese version. 好，那么今天呢，我们要学这篇作文呢，是关系到他去参观这个皇家博物馆。我们可以先看这个图片，这里呢有3个。第一个图片是显示有一辆巴士呢停在这个皇家的博物馆前面。那么呢，通常这种情况下，我们看一下这个字体 ，August 是8月 ，History teacher 是历史老师 ，Organize 举办 ，Organize 举办。Trip 呢是旅行旅程 ，Royal Museum 就是皇家博物馆 ，Official 是正式 ，Official 是正式，然后 King 就是王 ，Bus 呢就是巴士。那么在第一段里面呢，我们就要提到，首先在我们在写这种 story 的时候，第一个你要先确定的是这一篇的 dancers， 这一篇的 dancer 也是我们每次讲的 grammar，OK， 那么你就要想看它是用 past tense 还是用 present tense。好，那么我们可以从这个字体 organize 的意思是主办。那么这个字体呢，我们就可以知道说它是一个 past tense 的文，所以等一下我们所写的这个 story 呢，都会是 past tense 的文章。那么我们一起来看 August， 我要讲借这个 August 的字体呢，我可以讲上个8月，你可以接一个 last August。我们的，因为这里他写的是 history teacher， 那你就可以接一个我们的历史老师 our history teacher， 给他一个名字 Mr. John， 主办 organize 主办什么呢？主办一个旅程，我们叫 a trip trip 去哪里呢 ？To the Royal Museum。在这里你可以稍微把它扩写一下，告诉这个 story 讲说这个 Royal Museum 是在哪里 located 的，那你就可以写 located in Kuala Lumpur。好，那我们已经写到这里的，那么下一个字体呢就来到了 official。official 的意思是正式。好，这个 official 呢，其实这个皇宫博物馆啊，这个博物馆呢，其实以前是这个皇室的居所，所以你就可以写说 it was， 因为已经过去了 the officials residence， 所以他们的正式居所 resident 的意思是他们居住的地方 ，resident 的意思呢是居所。OK， 然后呢，你就可以再多加形容一下，有几个学生去参加呢？那你就可以讲 There were 20 students who joined the trip， 有20个学生。然后你们是怎样去的呢 ？We went there by bus， 我们是坐巴士去的。好，那么这就是我们的第一段。Last August, our history teachers, Mr. John, organized a trip to the Royal Museum located in Kuala Lumpur. It was once the official residence of the Kings of Malaysia. There were 20 students who joined the trip and we went there by bus. 那我们来看一下第二个图片。第二个图片呢，就显示了一群的学生在做什么？你可以仔细一下观察，他正在拍照，那么我们可以看一下它的背景，看这里呢，它的装潢是非常的富丽堂皇，或者说我们可以讲它是古色古香也是可以。那你就可以放一些形容词。当你看到这一些装潢非常的富丽堂皇的这个装潢，首先第一反应呢，我们是很惊讶，我们很震惊。那你可以讲说震惊的英文叫做 amaze， 震惊的英文我们叫做 amaze。旁边你可以把它放成是你的 vocabulary， 那你可以讲说震惊就是 amaze， 就觉得说哇这个地方那么的漂亮，那么你被惊呆了，可以觉得非常美，就可以用 amaze。那我们可以讲接下去呢 at the entrance， 我们可以讲这个地方是哪里，它是入口，入口的英文呢就叫做 entrance， 入口就是你要进去一个地方，那么这个地方我们叫做 entrance。比如说你在 cinema， 你要进去戏院，那么这个进去的那个地方我们叫入口。We were amazed， 我们震惊 to see unique。你可以看到这个图片呢，你看它的装潢非常古色古香，我们平时家里比较少会看到的。那么这种呢，我们可以讲它是很特别的，特别独特，我们可以叫做 unique， 独特。OK， 那么你就可以讲说这里的建筑 architecture 的意思呢是建筑。architecture 的意思是建筑 ，OK， 老师让我来 highlight 一下这个字体 architecture。OK，unique 呢是独特 ，architecture 呢是建筑。那你可以再多加形容一下这一个皇宫有几楼，比如说我们这里形容到它有2楼，所以你就可以讲 the 2-4 palace。palace 是皇宫，我们可以形容它设计的非常的好，设计的非常好，我们不要讲说good， 我们可以用 well 这个字体 well design， 设计的很好。With the European style， 我们就用回它给的这个是欧洲风，那你就可以 European style， 尤其是我们叫 especially is exterior， exterior 的意思是外景，它的外观。那么呢，你就可以形容一下你的心情。这边 first entering capture shot， first 是第一次 ，entering 是踏进去。OK， 你就可以讲说，这是我们第一次进到这个地方。It was the first time， 第一次 the first time 给我们 for us entering 进去这个地方。这里呢，我们要放 ing， 因为前面呢还有出现了 is rm was were， 还有或者是动词的后面你就要放 ing 给它。下一个我们就讲 capture 是拍照 ，OK， 你可以用 took photo， 其实也是可以的 took photo。你也可以用 capture， 那么我们就写 we capture some beautiful shots of the palace， 我们就拍了一些很美的照片，就是关系到这个皇宫的，好吗？那么我们可以来接下去看第3个图片。 第3个图片呢，就讲到这里 spend。OK， 你先看图片先，大家做什么？大家是忙着拍拍，然后呢就在那边观赏、欣赏里面的这个富丽堂皇的装潢。这里呢有 spend 是花 ，palace 呢是皇宫 ，saw 是看到 ，throne room 是王的房间 ，decorative 装饰 ，impress 也是一样，它跟 amaze 一样 ，impress 呢也是一样被震惊。那我们就可以先讲一下这个 spend 跟这个 palace 把它借成一个句子，我们就可以讲一下 spend 是花销嘛，就是你花多少的时间，比如说你可以讲你花3个小时或者花4个小时都可以，那你就可以讲说我们花一些时间去参观这个皇宫，花叫 spend， 皇宫叫 palace， 那我们就可以这样写呢 ，we spend 是花about 3 hours touring the palace， 我们大概花了 about 在这里的意思呢是大约，我们花了大约3个小时的时间呢去游这一个整个欣赏整个的皇宫。那么在里面我们看到了什么呢 ？OK， 这个句子已经好了，那么我们就可以去下一个句子，你可以暂停一下，如果跟不上的话。你可以看回上面的 throne room， 所以我们看到了一些的房间，比如说你就可以多写给他，比如说你看到了这个休息室啊，看到这个王房间啊，甚至是 bedroom， 所以我们可以写什么呢？我们就可以写说 we saw waiting room, throne rooms and bedroom。好，那么下一个字体是什么？我们看这里再上去 decorative 装饰品，然后我们这里有 impress 我们就可以讲这个 decorative 它是一个形容词，所以它的后面呢你可以接一个字叫 item， 是东西，装饰东西，装饰品，两个字体 decorative item， 你就可以讲说 there were also some decorative item， 这里我们要放 were， 因为 items 有很多 s 有很多，所以这里要放 were。那么呢，我们就讲说有很多呢正在被展示当中，展示的英文呢我们就叫做 display， 展示的英文呢就叫做 display。 OK， 那么呢这个字体叫 impress， 我们被震惊了， impress 也是一样是被震惊。OK， 那你就可以讲说，我们被震惊什么呢？我们被震惊对于我们的这个皇家的 heritage 这个遗产，这个文化遗产。那么这一篇的这个visit to Royal Museum 呢，大概就已经写完了。所以呢，我们主要呢只是要讲这3个图片。那么你就可以从一开始，这个历史老师带我们去参观这个 Royal Museum， 然后呢有几个学生去。在入口的时候呢，我们就会看到有很特别的建筑物，然后我们在那边拍了一些的照片，然后来到最后一个呢，你就可以再描写一下你在那里花了多长的时间，然后你在里面并做了一些什么活动，比如说你参观了一些视听室啊，参观了一些睡房啊，参观了王的办公的地方，那你就可以再讲，因为在里面呢不单单只是有一些生活用品，当然还有一些的装饰品，而且是被展示出来的，那你就可以形容一个句子，我们被 impressed with our royal heritage。 那让我来读一次。 Last August, our history teacher， 你可以跟着我一起念 our history teacher, Mr. John, organized a trip to the Royal Museum, located in Kuala Lumpur. It was once the official residence of the Kings of Malaysia. There were 20 students who joined the trip and we went there by bus. At the entrance, we were amazed to see unique architectures of the palace. The 2-floor palace was well designed with the European style, especially its exterior. It was the first time for us entering a palace. We captured some beautiful shots of the palace. We spent about 3 hours touring the palace. We saw waiting rooms, throne rooms and bedroom. There were also some decorative items on display. We were impressed with our royal heritage. 然后这里呢，我们就学几个新的字体。Resident 就是居所 ，amaze 震惊 ，unique 独特 ，organize 主办 ，architecture 建筑 ，display 展示，还有最后一个字体呢，就是 impress 震惊。好，那么呢，请各位同学，你可以把这一篇呢，可以把上面这个图片呢，你可以剪下来，然后把它粘在你的书里面，然后你可以把这个写在你的内容里面。Okay, so I hope you learned something today. Bye bye.